Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a June and July recap. And we'll be going over 13 books, mostly Brandon Sanderson. I've been in my fantasy era lately. Let me put this down. I've been in my Brandon Sanderson era, so we're going over a lot of fantasy and a couple of romances. We have 13. Did I already say that? We have 13 to go over in this video. And we are unfortunately starting off with the DNF that I really did not see coming. First book is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel to Divine Rivals, which I think I gave like 3-4 stars. Here's the thing. I don't do memory loss, and I don't like it when people are separated. And that makes things really difficult for me with this whole series. And I don't like catfishing. So the first book, you know, this whole series just kind of wasn't it for me. It's probably it for a lot of other people. Unfortunately, I could not even finish this book. I tried. I'm also not a huge fan of the writing style. I said this in the video where I talked about Divine Rivals. Like, the writing makes it so that you're like not sure when in time it's taking place. And that also makes it very difficult for me. So, good start. I'm going to put that back before I forget. Alright, the next book I read was Crossroads by Devney Perry. And what did I give that book? I gave that book 4 stars. This book was about a girl who was like kind of with a guy before, and then they like weren't together anymore. And next time she saw him, she had bought his family's farm. And that's pretty much all the detail that I'm going to give. And I just thought it was really cute. I love Devney Perry. She did the Eden series, and this is the beginning of her new series called Haven River Ranch. And I just love her books. I just think they're always just such a fun romance, and I loved it. Now we're going to get into big books. So Nathan's favorite author is Brandon Sanderson, and his favorite series, I think, is the Stormlight Archives. He also just finished Wheel of Time, so that might be his favorite. But I told him that I would read Stormlight Archives. This is the first book, Way of Kings. It is 1,000 pages. I gave this book 5 stars. I have a video for every single book in the Stormlight Archives with like my in-depth spoiler thoughts. So if you want to see that, that's on my channel. For like a non-spoiler intro to what the series is about. The main characters are a guy named Kaladin who's like 19, who used to be a soldier and is now a slave. And you're figuring out that. I'm trying not to give, like, any detail. Because, yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Other guy is a high prince in the world named Dalinar, who is having, like, visions and kind of, like, dealing with challenges to his belief system, sort of. Girl named Shallan, whose family is destitute, and she's trying to scheme a way to save her family. I would say those are the 3 main ones for this one. So, this is very good. It's very long. I did listen to most of it on audiobook. The audiobook is very good. The narrators are very good. And yeah, I'm not going to give any more detail because there are whole videos of this on my channel. Second is Words of Radiance. I gave this one 3 stars. This is my favorite in the series. I don't want to give too much information. It's so good. It's so good. Next. Next is Oathbringer. This is the biggest book in the series. I gave this one 5 stars as well. This is Nathan's favorite in the series. This series is going to be 5 books. It's over 1,200 pages. This series is going to be 5 books. Well, there's 5 books in this arc. So the last book in the series that's out now is Rhythm of War. I did give this one 4 stars. It's my least favorite of the series, but still good. It's a 5-star series overall. Definitely one of my favorite things that I've ever read in my entire life. So I have to trust Nathan's opinion on books now. A little break in between Brandon Sanderson books. When we were at the beach, I believe in reading romance at the beach. So I read The Art of Catching Feelings by Alicia Thompson. Usually I love her books. I gave this one, let's check actually. Whoopsies. I gave this one 2 stars. I was not a big fan. The premise of this is, it sounded so cute. So he's a professional baseball player, and she, the day her divorce gets finalized, goes to a game and heckles him, and they end up falling in love. However, it starts off on a lie. It starts off with her DMing him to apologize, but she like deletes some of her DMs and ends up deleting the one where she identifies herself as the heckler. And it's one of those where like he knows her in real life and knows her as an online presence, and I hate that. I didn't know that when I bought the book, or I honestly probably would not have bought the book. So I did not like it, but she's a really good author. She also wrote Cold World and Love in the Time of Serial Killers. Also, the cover's always pretty, so that's why they're on display. But that one was just not for me. Then, Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This was definitely more spicy than the rest of her books. She even says that at the beginning, like it's less rom-com than most of her stuff. But I gave this book, I have to check again, 3 stars. This was a good one. This one wasn't as good as I think her other books. My favorite of hers is still The Love Hypothesis, I think. I love that book. I ate that book right up. And Love Theoretically and Love on the Brain I also think are better than this. I think those were all 4 or 5 star reads for me. This is about a girl named Rue, who is a food scientist, and a guy named Eli, who works for a like financial conglomerate thing that's like taking over her company. So they're like enemies, but then they start like hooking up. And it's good, it's cute. I finished it. It just wasn't one that I kept wanting to pick up over and over again. And the spice was not as good as her other spice. It was kind of like uncomfortable to read, not in like a sketchy way, just in like a... It's hard for me when authors overwrite the consent part when they're trying to write like, not an aggressive book. It's like so much spice, like she said, but then she's also like really, really sugarcoating it at the same time, and it just is kind of incongruent as a reader. Sorry, there's a bug in here. And now we go back to Brandon Sanderson. I'm going to make and post a video about this whole series, not every individual book because they're not as long, but we'll go over them real quick. Oh no. This is Mistborn Era 2. 4 books. This is the Wax and Wayne series. So Mistborn I've read. And then Mistborn 2 and 3 I haven't technically read, but Nathan told me all about them. So this is like hundreds of years in the future. Nathan's home. Hi, Silly. Okay, Nathan's back from grocery shopping, so he's gonna give you a quick recap of what he's been reading.
I read all of the Wheel of Time, 14 books in 3 months, over like 13,000
It was less than
pages.
That. It was 2 months.
2.5 months.
Impressive.
I love the Wheel of Time. It's all I can think about now.
Is it better than Stormlight Archive?
The Stormlight Archive is not finished, so I will reserve my opinion, but as a complete series, this is the best complete series I've ever read in my entire life. And I literally love that like world and universe and everything that has to do with Wheel of Time. I'm obsessed.
Wheel of Time was started by
Robert Jordan.
And finished by Brandon Sanderson.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you reading now?
And now I'm reading the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. I'm on book 2, and I'm liking this book a lot more than I like the first one. I was just telling Kylie about something that's in this. Spoiler, there's romance. And I'm a romance guy. I love it.
And how have you been talking about your books on the internet?
I have a TikTok at Nathan Clausen. Give me a follow. I post probably at least once a week about books that I finish.
Yay.
Mostly Wheel of Time so far.
Yeah.
But the more books I read, the more books I will post.
Now will you go to another room with headphones on while I finish filming?
Sure.
I had lip gloss on.
Cute.
Sorry.
Tasty.
So, we are going to quickly go over the Wax and Wayne series. So, the first book is The Alloy of Law. I gave this book 3 stars. Yeah, 3 stars. Apparently, Brandon has said that this is his least favorite book that he's written. This is all information from Nathan, so if I'm wrong, it's his fault. He said that when Brandon wrote this, he wasn't intending for it to like keep going, and you can kind of tell that by reading it. Like, basically, this is a couple hundred years in the future. There's like guns and stuff, and like the magic system is a little bit different than in the original series because of everything that happened in the original series. And Wax and Wayne were lawmen, like old, like westerny type of like cops. And Wax ends up moving back to Ellendale, which is the big city, and gets pulled back into the world of crime to help solve crimes. You can really tell that there wasn't meant to be more of these books, just especially because of the progression of some of the characters. And I'll talk about this in my video about this, but that's why it was 3 stars. It's definitely my least favorite of the series, but I do think the series gets better as you go along. The second one is Shadows of Self. I also gave this one 3 stars. I'm not going to give much detail. It's hard in the series to like give a summary, but basically the series keeps going and it's still not quite as good. It still feels like it hasn't really gotten a grasp of like what's going on. But then it really starts to pick up in Bands of Mourning. Although I gave this one 3 stars too. I remember it more as a 4-star book. I'm going to change my rating of this. This is a 4-star book. I'm changing it right now. 4-star book. This might be my favorite of the series. This or the next one. But this is when it starts like to feel heavier and more important in the world and less like a little corner of the world. This one really felt like we were getting to where they were trying to go with the series, and the characters feel a lot more fully developed and you learn a lot more, and it feels like the characters have actually, it's almost like when somebody starts like in a TV show and they're like acting and you feel like they don't really get a grasp on the character until like a couple seasons in. That's what this book felt like, people finally grasping who they were. And then, oh actually wait, in between that and the last book I read Secret History, which takes place in between the first and second series. But the like little warning before it is that it has spoilers up through the Bands of Mourning, so I read it after Bands of Mourning. I'm not even going to say what it's about because that would contain spoilers for all of the Mistborn books, but it kind of sets up some new characters and returning characters that they're bringing in, and it's a novella, so it wasn't super long, but I did read that. And then I read The Lost Metal, which I rated 4 stars. I did pull an all-nighter to finish this book, and I wept. Still a 4-star book. I try to like sleep on it before I give a book 5 stars just because of the ending. I feel like the thing that this series shows with a lot is like beginning, middle, and end. The beginning's always really good, the middle's kind of lackluster, and then the ending is really good. But I gave it 4 stars. It was really, really good. I really liked the background of the character that we focused the most on in this book. And I feel like it was a good, like, coming together of all of the series. So, those are all of the books that I read in June and July. Right now I'm in the middle of 2 books. I've kind of got a system now where I'm, like, audio listening to, like, a Brandon book and then physically reading another one. So right now I'm listening to You Mean the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson, which was a secret project, and I'm not disliking it so far. I'm just kind of struggling with it. It's picking up now, but I'm like halfway through it, so that's a struggle. And the physical book that I'm reading right now is Apprentice to the Villain, which is the sequel to Assistant to the Villain, which I was about to grab it. They're both in the bedroom. I love Hannah Nicole Mayer's writing. I like forgot since like I read Assistant to the Villain. I talked about it on this channel and I'm obsessed with it. And then like time passed and I pre-ordered the sequel, which I never pre-order books, but this came in the mail and I started reading it and I was like, this is why like I just missed her writing. Like, she's so funny, and the chapters are so short. And that makes such a difference, especially after reading Brandon Sanderson, where it's like every book is over 1,000 pages. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.